These are the sweetest, cutest ornaments you will ever work on, and they're so quick. I know you guys are gonna love this. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Stitch Sessions. Karen here with another fun crochet tutorial for you. And we are into the holiday season, like it or not. We are now in the countdown. So I am really having a fun time working on a lot of crochet ornaments this year. And this is going to be a big part of the crochet tour, actually, which you guys will see in just a little bit. Now, a few weeks back, I did a cute little mini sweater ornament. And so that is kind of in the same theme of what we're going to do today, which is a Christmas ornament. Now, this is a sweet little, it's not a ball, but it's kind of like a disc shape. And I actually got the inspiration to do this. I think I was at Michael's or something, and I was walking through their Christmas aisle, with all the ornaments. And I tend to do that a lot to give me some crochet inspiration. And in fact, they had a glass ornament that had this similar idea. And I thought, you know what? I could probably do something along this vein in crochet. And I had this fabulous sparkly yarn that I have been saving for the Christmas projects. And I think this came out so cute. So that's what we're going to work on today. I actually still haven't decided how I like the hanger. If I like it with the knot down below, with a little bit of these two strands hanging down, or if I prefer this one with it secured at the bottom and a knot at the top. I'm still kind of, even as I'm doing this video, I'm still undecided. I like the look of that, but at the same time, I like the finished roundness of the top of that. So maybe you guys should leave me a comment down below. Let me know, which would you prefer? What type of hanger would you prefer to put on your ornaments? Let me know. Okay, so these are so sweet and so quick to make. So if you're looking to instill something a little bit different into your tree, I think this is the perfect project for you. For me, this kind of lends itself more towards like that Victorian Christmas theme. Many of you know that I really love a Victorian Christmas theme. So I think you might really like to work on these. And so they're the same on the front as on the back. And actually, you don't just have to use these for Christmas decorations. I actually really like to use these as part of gifts, to put them as toppers. So this ornament could be a gift itself, but it's also a great way of identifying the gift without actually writing the name on it, especially if you have nosy Parker young little ones that want to find out who the gifts are for. You can do these in all different kinds of colors, and so you've got them color coded. You know who they're for, but they don't until the day of. And in some previous ornament projects, you guys have heard me talk about that as well. I really like the dual purpose items, especially around Christmas time. So I think this would be perfect as a topper. You could add this to some of your wreath ornaments if you like. You could even put this as a doorknob hanger. Like sometimes that's just a cute little add-on, maybe for a child's bedroom or something like that. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with these beautiful ornaments. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go through the materials that you're going to need to gather together, and then we're going to talk about stitching up these really pretty Christmas ornaments. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the yarn. So this is by Yarn Bee, and it's a brand you can find at Hobby Lobby. And this is very velvety, very soft, and it's got this beautiful little hint of sparkle that runs through it. And I've got these 3 different shades. Now, we don't have Hobby Lobby here in Canada, so I actually bought these, believe it or not, at the end of March. A girlfriend of mine and we did a little kind of weekend getaway, and we went to Buffalo. And part of that Buffalo trip was, of course, to check out Hobby Lobby. So they have this brand of yarn called Yarn Bee, and this is the Velvety Smooth Sparkle yarn. Oops, I've got the wrong label. This one's teal green. It should be on this one. As you can see, I've been using it already. So I've got the teal green, and then this is probably the red, as you can see here. And then this one is called Olive. And again, I just like these colors together, especially for that traditional Christmas look. But they have a plethora of colorways. And as soon as I saw this yarn with this beautiful hint, I like how it's just a hint of sparkle. I knew I was going to use this for a Christmas project. Now, these skeins come in a weight of 3.5 ounces. I think that's pretty close to what we would call 100 grams, I think, here in Canada. And it's going to give you 161 yards of yarn. And you can probably see here, it was $4.99. That is US. So probably in Canadian, it's going to be about $7 or so. So, which I thought was still a great deal. And it is considered a medium 4-weight yarn. Oh my goodness, I can't even see that. I hope you guys can see that. So it's a medium 4-weight yarn. And they are recommending a 6.5 millimeter hook for this project. But believe it or not, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually going to go down a hook size, or 2 hook size, I should say. So I'm going to be using a 5.5 millimeter hook, which is also known as an I or a size 9 if you go by that label. So this is the yarn I've got. This is the hook I'm going to use. You don't need a lot to create these sweet little ornaments, so you can make quite a few of these. Now, I'm making these as part of gifts, but I'm also making a whole slew of them because I also do a craft show once a year, and I've got that coming up, and I'm going to whip up a bunch of these for that as well. So you will, if you get 1 skein of each or however many colors you want, 1 skein is beyond more than enough for your ornament. Okay. And then of course, make sure that you have a pair of scissors to snip your yarn and a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and then of course to do a little bit of sewing here. Depending on the buttons that you end up using for the center, you may want to have a thread and thread needle to be able to fit through there. So, but I'll get to that in just a second. So that is for the yarn. For my hanger, what I've been using is this beautiful little red ribbon, and I use this hanger also for the mini sweater ornaments, and it is a 1/4 inch in width. So if you're looking for this specific ribbon, this is the one I'm using, and there's a ton here. I got this on Amazon. If you're going to use up a lot of ribbon, I would definitely get this large spool like that. I will leave a link for it in the description box with the materials down below in case you want a quick and easy reference on where to get that. You will also need some polyfill. Now, this is not the box it comes in. This is just a cute little Kleenex box from last year. So polyfill is what I have filled my ornaments with. Now, the first one that I did, and by the way, I'll leave a link for that down below as well. If you're just looking for quick and easy links to just grab the stuff you need, I'll leave the links down below. Now, for the first ornament, what I had done is I actually used a lot of fabric scraps. So those of you that are sewists and you have a lot of those little tiny fabric scraps, I thought, oh, this would be a perfect opportunity. I can use it for the stuffing. Now, the only thing is that when you're, cinching in the center here, you really cannot use a yarn needle. So you're going to have to do it separately with a thread and thread needle if that is the way that you go. So after the first one, I thought this is going to be too cumbersome for me. So I did go ahead and use the polyfill, and it's just nice and soft. It's just enough to give you a little bit of cushion. You don't need to overstuff it. But then I could still use my yarn needle because it goes through the polyfill perfectly, especially when I'm cinching it in and then when I'm kind of sewing through the buttons here. So just something to keep in mind. And of course, the last thing you're going to need are now these are buttons that I used. And this was like one, actually, I prefer this one. This was one that I had left over from a sewing project. But I've got tons of these because I wanted to get some sparkly buttons. And actually, let me grab them over here. And I also did get these on Amazon, and I forget how many buttons I needed. I think it was just a small amount, but it came in such a large quantity. So it's kind of like this, it looks like a little star shape. And it's got these cute little rhinestone sparkly effects. And I thought, oh, these are perfect for ornaments because they've got a little bit of the sparkle and they're the perfect size. So, but you can use anything like, I've got these colored buttons. So this is plain on this side and then this is colored. So if you wanted to do something like that and make it a little bit less glamorous, you can totally do that. The other option for those of you that may prefer that Let me just put this away before it all gets away from me. The other option is you can use rhinestones, which I also have a slew of here. So you can just kind of glue these in the center. The only thing is I found the size of the buttons were just a hair larger, and I really found that they were a perfect size. The other thing you could do is if you didn't want to put something in the center is maybe if you want to bedazzle them around there. But see, I just think it's just a little too much, right? So that's why I just wanted to keep it simple. The yarn already has sparkle in it, but you can create the design that you desire. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys all of those options there. So lots of little knickknacks and materials to get together. So get those together, and then we're going to start stitching up our sweet little ornament. Okay, so I am going to do this tutorial with the olive green color. Unfortunately, these are all kind of dark, and red does not do well on camera. So I am hoping that this is going to be nice and clear for you guys to see. It's a super quick project to work up, so you should be able to work this up in no time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a cinch circle, okay? And then we're going to insert our hook, and we're going to pull up a loop. So it's going to be kind of wonky right now. And then what you want to do is you want to chain one to secure that circle. And then I just like to take the tail out, even though we're going to work over the tail. And then you have something that looks like this. If you're still a little bit newer to cinch circles, I have what I consider a really good beginner-friendly tutorial on how to create that cinch circle and how to kind of practice it, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to chain two more. So we have 1 and 2, and this will count as a double crochet stitch, okay? And then what we're going to do here is we are going to double crochet into the ring, just like that. And we're going to continue to do that until we have a total of 12 double crochet stitches. Now, I am counting the chain 3 as one of my double crochets. Some people kind of don't like to count it and then they'll just ignore it. It's totally up to you. But for me, I am going to count that chain 3 as a double crochet. So go ahead and place 12 double crochets into the ring, making sure that you work over the tail as well. Okay, and then I'll meet up with you at the end of round number 1 to take you through the next round. Okay, and this is my last double crochet here into the ring. And now what I want to do is I want to find that tail and I want to pull on it so that it cinches this center shut. Now with velvet yarn, sometimes you just have to be careful because you can see it's kind of pulling on the fiber away. So it happens, but it's not the end of the world because this tail will be woven in and it'll be on the inside, so it's not a big deal. So there we go. I've cinched in my center, and now what I want to do is I want to find the top of that third chain, or if you skip this, you just go to the top of the next double crochet, which is right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. So you always want to catch both loops there. So I'm just going to show you guys that are going in through there. There we go. So if you're going through there, you're there. And I'm going through the top of the third chain, which is right here. This is the thing with velvet yarn. It's not great for being able to see your stitches or to create a lot of stitch definition. That's why whenever I work with velvet, I keep the design really, really simple. So that's why for the ornament design, you can see it creates its own texture, but it's just basic stitches. So I don't try to do anything super fancy with it. Okay, so round 1 is complete, and you have 12 double crochets or 12 stitches all the way around. So you have something that looks like that. Now we're going to go on to round number 2, and we're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. And then what we're going to do is we are going to work 2 double crochets into each stitch, but we're gonna do something a little different. And especially because this is velvet yarn and it can be really hard to see the stitches. This project, we are gonna work in between the stitches. So you can see I'm just kind of pulling apart my double crochets. So we're gonna be working around the posts here. So for this first one, I'm gonna yarn over and I'm just gonna go into the space between the stitches. And I'm gonna work that double crochet just like that. Okay, so my chain 3 will count and then the double crochet counts as the second one. So for round number 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, so this is where I just worked, and this is the next space here. I am going to place 2 double crochets into each and every single space between the stitches. So here's the second one. I'm going to go right back into where I was before. And by working in between the stitches, that's also part of what creates that beautiful little texture, okay? So then I'm gonna find the next space, which is right there, and I'm gonna place 2 double crochets. And that is what you're gonna do all the way around for round number 2, and you should end up having 24 stitches in total. Okay, so I've come up to the end and now I am ready to slip stitch to join to the top of that third chain there. Okay, and I have 24 stitches, and this is the general size of the ornament. Okay, so we are no longer going to do any more increases. So you stop at 24 stitches, and actually I should have done this at the beginning, but I'll just take a little measurement here. So my diameter is sitting at about 2.5 inches, which is, oh, I can't really see, but it looks like about 7 centimeters. Now the finished product, if I take my little measurement here, actually let me measure this one, that's a bit more finished. Yeah, so it's gonna end up being about 3 inches in total once we kind of work our way up and stuff it. And that is gonna be about 8 centimeters, okay? So now, next part, super easy. We're gonna do 3 rounds without doing any increases. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a half double crochet stitch. So I'm actually just going to chain 1 because it's not really gonna count as anything. So I'm gonna continue working in between the stitches, but this time I'm only gonna place 1 stitch in between all of the posts here. So I'm gonna yarn over, I'm gonna insert into that space, I'm gonna pull up a loop, but I'm gonna yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's your typical half double crochet stitch instead of a double crochet. So I yarn over, go in between, and half double crochet. Okay, so this is round number 3, and you are gonna do this for round number 4 and round number 5. And of course, make sure that you always slip stitch to join your round, just like we've done in previous rounds, and then chain 1 to begin your next round. So you're gonna go ahead and do that, and you should then have 5 rounds completed. And what you're gonna notice too is because we are not increasing anymore, your work is going to start to curl. Like you can already see it here, see that? Because we're not increasing, it's gonna curl up. So you're gonna kind of have like a little bowl by the time I see you in just a few seconds. So press pause, go ahead and do round 3, 4, and 5, and then I'll meet you back here shortly. Okay, so I have finished round number 5, so you can definitely see it's becoming more like a bowl here. And that is the texture it creates on the outside. Is that not pretty? I still can't get over how just delectable this yarn is. That hint of sparkle just gives it that elegant look. Love it. Okay, so now we've created a little bit of height, and now we're going to start to decrease to kind of cinch in or close up the top there. So I'm going to chain 1, and we are going to continue to now just keep working with the half double crochet stitch. So we're also going to continue working in between the stitches here. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go in between the stitch here. I'm going to pull up a loop as if I'm going to do a half double crochet, but I'm not going to resolve it. I'm going to go into the next space here, and actually I'm going to yarn over again. I'm going to go into the next space here, pull up a loop. Now some people wouldn't necessarily yarn over the second time. I just have liked doing it because it creates a nice denser effect. Now I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 5 of these loops, okay? And so that decreased 2 stitches into 1, and that's what I'm going to do all the way around. So I'm going to yarn over, and now I'm going to go into the next space, pull up a loop, yarn over, but I'm going to go into the next space. I know it's tricky to see, guys. And then I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and I've decreased again. So you're basically going to take your stitch count from 24 down to 12 stitches. So again, into the space, pull up, yarn over, into the next space, and pull through. So go ahead and do that all the way around. This is round number 6. Okay, so now I'm just slip stitching to join round number 6. And you can see that it's closing up along the top there. Now you can start at this point, just grab a bit of polyfill. You don't need a lot. So like if I can grab enough that I can scrunch into my hand, I think that's pretty good. I don't want it to be too taut. I still need it to have like some, see, it's a little bit of squish there. So it's very airy. So I'm just going to now begin to insert it into my little ball here, my disc, and just kind of help it along through the ends there. And yeah, that's all I need. See, it's just enough that it creates a little cushion because we're also going to push it in to create that little effect. Look at how pretty that texture is, all because we worked in between the stitches and not into the tops of the stitches. Okay, so you've got your polyfill there. Now this is where it might get a little tricky because sometimes your hook tends to pick up the polyfill, but we're going to try our best not to. So we're going on to round number 7, and we're going to decrease again. We're going to work the same thing we did in the previous round. So you're going to chain 1. You're going to go back into the space. Whoops, I need to yarn over. Go through there. And this is where you want to be careful you're not pulling the polyfill through. Sometimes it happens. And then I yarn over, go to the next space, and pull through. So basically now in round 7, we're going to take our stitch count down from 12 to 6. So the goal is that we are continuously making this opening smaller and smaller so that we eventually can just close it up. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I've now completed round 7, and you can see it's really closing in nicely. And I still have an opening though, so I'm going to just do another round of decreases. I'm going to chain 1, and basically you play this by ear. You just keep decreasing until that hole pretty much disappears, which whoops, I got to yarn over. I know it's going to disappear right about now. So I'm going to take this from 6 stitches basically down to 3, but it's pretty much going to be closed up. This work gets a little funky. So you see how there's a little fluff there? That's because I accidentally pulled it through. So that's what tends to happen. There's 2, and then I'm going to decrease the next 2, and that's the final decrease here. Just like that. Okay, and you can pretty much see that it's fairly cinched in. I've got a wee bit of an opening there, but I'm going to leave that there now. So I'm going to take my hook out so you can see there's a very, very tiny opening, but that's okay. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a longer tail. I'm going to snip my yarn, and now I'm going to fasten off. So I'm going to pull that through there so it doesn't unravel. And this is where I'm going to bring in now my yarn needle, and I'm just going to sew the rest of that opening shut just so that it's nice and see, just like that. So I'm just going to go across the way here. It's nothing fancy. This part is going to get covered by the button anyway, right? So we don't really need to worry too much. So I just go across and then across this way. I just want to make sure it's closed off. I don't want that polyfill really escaping. And that's pretty much it. You see, it didn't take much, so it's closed off. And you can see how it's created this nice little disc-like effect, and here's the other side. So now the next thing is we want to create that little kind of cinched in center like that, okay? And so I'm going to go in through the center here with my yarn needle, and I'm going to go until I can feel it, and I want it to come out through the exact center of the other side, just like that. And this is, see, when I pull it taut, look at what it does. Love that. Okay, and now here's the trick, because some people would want to go right back in the center, but what happens is you're just pulling it back out. So you want to stay close to the center, but not actually in the center, because you want this to actually stick. So I'm just going to go a little off center, but then when I come out the other side, I want to make sure it does come up through the center. So there it is. And then I pull it again. So I'm going to do this a couple of times so that this will retain its shape on its own like that. So see how when you cinch it in the center, it gives that nice texture. And now you're going to feel that it's a little bit more kind of fluffy, I call it. So again, I go a little bit offset of the center, okay? Not the same place that this one came out. I go offset, but then when I come up here, I come up through the center. So I just feel my way out, and there it is. And like that. So I might do this 2 or 3 times. Actually, this looks like it might be okay. And then this is where I'm going to introduce my buttons, okay? Now, the buttons, actually, I didn't show you guys the back. So let me grab a button here. Yeah. Okay. So the buttons I have on the back, they have this little loop like that. So you can see that. So you can kind of sew in through there. Now, this little hole will not fit my yarn needle. See that? So it's not going to go through. So what I've had to do, and this is where you might find that like a thread needle and a thread needle come in handy, because you'll be able to fit through nice and easily. What I would really recommend is make sure the thread is the exact same color as the yarn. So that may or may not be tricky to do. So I'm going to show you the trick that I've done, and it just involves a little safety pin here, or you could actually use a thread needle if you wanted to. So because I just like the idea of using the yarn for the whole thing, I just take the yarn here, or maybe a little bit closer to the edge, and I'm just kind of holding it against that opening there. So it's a very small opening. And so what I've done is I hold it against it there, and then I use the edge of, or this, you know, the edge of this safety pin here, and I use it to kind of help push it through the other side. And I know it might be tricky to see on camera, but now the thing is, you can't go straight in, because if you go straight in, the only thing that goes in is the safety pin. So the idea is you go in from the side like this, you kind of help push some of that yarn through. There we go. So see how there's a bit on the other side there? And once you do get it, if you can grab it with your fingers or your nails, there we go. I pushed a little bit more through. And then I can just pull it. There we go. And now it's nice and easy. And then you pull it until the button settles in the center. See how easy that is? And then at this point, I just take my yarn needle again, and now I'm going to go down in the center, a little off center, and continue doing that same technique I was doing earlier, but now I'm also going to be securing that button in there. And then I just pull it nice and taut, make sure it's centered, and that's it, okay? And now I'm going to go back in, come up through the center. I don't want to pull the button too much because I want it to stay tightly in there, right? So I'm going to do that a couple of times, and then I'm going to go maybe around this side here and come out the center here. That is nice, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now you can make it one-sided if you want. I really like the idea of having both sides be exactly the same, and that way when it's dangling on the tree, or, you know, if you've got it as part of some decor and it's dangling, I think it would look better if both sides look the same. So at this point, I'm going to take it off of my yarn needle, and I'm going to do the same technique that I did earlier with the safety pin. Now, this totally depends on the type of button that you have, or maybe if you're just using gems, you can hot glue it. And in fact, you can hot glue this button on if you want. But I just find, I don't know, for me, I really like the idea of securing it with the yarn or a bit of thread. And that way I know that I really did secure it on there. This is being tricky here. And I just think, I mean, you could thread it and hot glue it to be really on the safe side, but I don't know, certain projects, I'm not a fan of using hot glue, especially something like this. There we go. So I really like working it this way, just like that. And now I'm just going to finish securing this same way I did the first one. So I'm going to go a little bit off center. Now I want to go through the center, but I want to be careful not to disturb this button. So I just have to work a little bit kind of behind it and pull it taut. There we go. Look at that. And then I'm going to come maybe over this way and come up through center again. Whoops. Tuck that under the button. And there we go. And then I will kind of give it a little bit of a roundabout here. And now what I like to do is I like to kind of weave this tail in and out. And the beautiful thing about the velvet, really great thing about velvet, is everything just gets hidden. So I'm just going to do a little weave in and out. Now I don't want to do it tightly, right? Because I don't want to cinch anything else in. I just want to hide it. So, you know, I'm going to go through a few loops here, pull it through, and then I'm going to come, maybe I'm going to make my way up here. Now you might actually just want to use the yarn for your hanger. So maybe you're going to make your way up here, for example, and then you can just do that. Like I'm just going to show you. You can use your yarn for your loop. I just find it's not as strong, and this is going to get, especially velvet, it's going to get worn out real quick. And then it's going to look kind of ratty. So I am just going to weave my way through here, and that way it all gets hidden. I don't have to snip my yarn and throw it out. I'm going to just keep it in here and hide my tail as best as I can. And then once I feel like I've woven in enough, I'm just going to maybe go right across like this. And I'm going to pull it. And then a lot of times I'll take my hook here and then I'll just pull it in like that until it all gets hidden. Oh, pulled some polyfill. Ugh, I hate when I do that. There we go. Okay, and that's it. Like, see how quick that was to whip up, including putting the buttons on. So the last thing we have to do now is just place our hanger. Now, the length of your hanger is totally up to you. Some people like a shorter hanger, like with the mini sweater ornaments. I made those hangers maybe a little bit too short, actually. So, and then some people like them kind of long. So let's see, I'm just going to gauge how long is this. Well, let's check with my measuring tape here, just because I know you guys are going to ask me specifics. Yeah, this is about 12 inches. I mean, which is kind of long, but you know, it's easier to be able to snip away stuff rather than needing to add more. And I always like to cut my ribbons on an angle like that. Okay, so now I think, well, I'll show you what I did for both of them. So for the other olive one that has this little knot at the top, this is how I did it. So I basically find a spot anywhere along wherever you want the top to be, and you're going to insert your hook and you're going to come out through the other side here, just like that. And then you are going to hook your ribbon, pull it through, and then make sure that it's nice and even, like that. And then I am going to knot it here. And so what this will do is it'll secure it in place, just like that. And then I'm going to do, oh, how did that happen? This one ended up being a little bit shorter. So then what I'm going to do is with the two of them together, I will just knot them together. Just like that. Try to make them a little bit as close to the top as possible. And there you have it. And then you have that really pretty effect, which I kind of like, oddly enough. I didn't think I was going to like it. So that is a really quick way to do your hanger. Now I'm going to show you how I did it this way in case you prefer that way better. So I'm just going to quickly undo this here. Okay, so I've undone it. And so you will have pulled one side through and just kind of leave it shorter on this side. And then what you want to do is you just want to kind of cross it over this way, right? So that your loop is nice and even like that. And then I take my hook again and I go in through that same spot. And now I'm going to pick up this side and I'll pull that through. Make sure not to pull the other tail through. Just like that. And then just make sure that the loop here is nice and flush. And then you can play with it to see how long you want. Like you might want yours super short here. Sometimes people might even want to do something a little bit longer. That would be pretty too, right? So whatever length you choose. So I'm going to leave mine right about there. And then you'll take these two little tails and that is where you tie them. And you can just tie them. Whoops, don't pull too much because then it's going to shorten your hanger. So I like to hold it there and knot it. So you can knot it once or twice. And then you can kind of manipulate it if you like the idea of it draping down like that. That looks super pretty. And then, so you can consider this the front or you can consider it the back, because then on the front you have something that looks like that. So those are two different ways that you can do your hanger. And I don't know, I thought I wasn't a fan of this, but I'm kind of liking it. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I might do half and half the hangers like this, half the hangers like that. I'm really curious to see what the consensus is going to be from you guys. Which hanger do you prefer? Leave it for us in the comment box down below. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see what the reaction is. But anyhow, so that is our ornament. Isn't it not sweet and super quick? So you guys can whip these up in no time. Like I said, I think they'll also make fun gift toppers and an addition as a gift. Like they could keep this as the gift itself. They could also keep this as an addition to the gift. So I hope you guys had fun doing this. It doesn't take any time at all. And it was pretty straightforward. And I hope for you beginners that using the velvet yarn, I hope the little tips and tricks about going in between the stitches has really helped you a lot. Now, if you have any other questions, please do feel free to leave them for me in the comment box down below. I'm always very happy to help you out with any of your crochet situations that you might have. And I know sometimes some of our fellow crochet friends hop in and answer them for you if I haven't been able to get to them. So we have such a wonderful crochet community here on the Stitch Sessions channel. I just love you guys all. Now, some of you do like to email me directly, so feel free to do so. You can email me at info@crochetcrafty.com. And make sure, if you have something that kind of has a lot of detail to it, attach a photo for me, and that way I can kind of have a look at what's happening there, okay? And as always, make sure come visit us on the website, crochetcrafty.com. There's a lot of great resource tools there for you, as well as a whole slew of free written patterns and a link to my Etsy shop for some of the other most popular crochet patterns I have going on. So make sure to do that. And come say hi to me. I am on Facebook and Instagram at the Stitch Sessions. And please do tag me when you guys create your very own little ornament. I really can't wait to see the types of yarn that you use, the colorway, even the little center decor. So make sure to do that. All right, and that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me. I love hanging out with you guys. If you are new here and you've enjoyed this, please make sure to join me by clicking that subscribe button. Hang out with me every Wednesday morning when I upload a brand new tutorial. And if you have a friend that would really, really love this tutorial, if they're looking for something Christmassy to do, please do share this. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I wish you a very happy crocheting session. Happy holidays as they're getting closer. Take good care of yourselves. Don't forget that, guys. And I will see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.